Y'Shaarj, the most powerful old god in existence, was known as the Seven-Eyed Goat that has been referenced multiple times, and his reflection was seen in a pool. Lo and behold, in 10.1 final boss fight with Sarkret, we get this really mysterious looking glass that strangely resembles his artwork. Most importantly though, we get a void pool, a shallow puddle-like void pool with 7 strange candles inside. The entire zone is the most mysterious in the very heart of Aberrus, surrounded by void beings, and there are a bunch of void chains everywhere, very much akin to any old god prison. Furthermore, the primal incarnates know what is inside of Aberrus, and they want Sarkret to unleash the secret. Even more interestingly, what if we all read the Beyond the Waves hint wrong, and what the Titans really hid was the prison of Y'Shaarj on the Dragon Isles, that are, after all, isles, and quite literally beyond the waves. So are we going to discover Y'Shaarj and this Aberrus, quite literally the prison of the most powerful old god on Azeroth? If you guys are looking to buy Dragonflight or anything Warcraft related, Gamivo has some amazing sales that you can check out with my link. On top of that, you can get software, gift cards, various games at crazy prices. Best of all, you can use my code DORON to add yet another discount to your purchase, so make sure to click my link below, check out Gamivo, and grab some amazing deals. As I previously covered, there is definitely a lot of cosmic void planetary type influence within 10.1. I mean, this is evident not only with the data mine abilities, but also the void music we had discovered, just pure cosmic void. However, other than this, there are actually so many old god hints, and I don't think we can really separate the old gods from the void itself. Now, the most obvious hint we had discovered in Zera Lake Caverns outside of Aberrus is literally the N'Zoth fish that was present with Azshara in that cinematic and in BFA, and now of course Azshara is relevant once again with the recent document. However, this time something that I don't think a lot of people are noticing, and that is the influence of Y'Shaarj is all around us. See, Blizzard changed up the lore, like really changed up the lore lately, and all of you could probably notice this. Not only did they heavily retcon the Titans, but also pretty much everything else together with that, since most of the lore we knew was from a Titan perspective. So the fact that Y'Shaarj was killed that we take as a fact, I think can 100% be challenged at this point. Blizzard in a recent book confirmed that Yogg-Saron is still around despite us having defeated him. We defeated N'Zoth in the most complete terms possible, yet not only is his fish here, but there are a million different hints that he's coming anytime now. If Xal'atath is an old god, she was thought to be defeated, yet survived in that dagger. So literally, why is everyone just straight out accepting the fact that Y'Shaarj was just wiped out? Aventul just ripped out the old god, and that is that. Only his heart remained, and his influence was 100% wiped clean with a big scar to Azeroth. I mean, if it was that simple, don't you think the Titans would have figured out a way to just brute force the old gods out in a more controlled manner? They might have just needed to increase the precision, but we know that was not the case. In fact, we know that they studied how to remove the old gods so hard that they accidentally created a G'huun, and they never really figured it out. So I really don't think this is the case. In an interview, Blizzard literally told us that death doesn't really work the way we think it does for the old gods, and with the fact that we went to the Shadowlands, this makes sense 100%. I mean, we know with complete certainty that all cosmic beings have their own versions of afterlives, and they literally just go back and forth. We have beings of life coming to and back from Shadowlands, we have other forces invading the afterlife, and a whole bunch of things, so it is really just one big huge mess. So just think about how stupid the idea is that Y'Shaarj, the most powerful old god on all of Azeroth, was just popped out like a pimple, and that is that to his story. Really, that is what the Titans would want others to think, and not the fact that they had to contain and just hide his influence. I mean, keep in mind, the god of 7 heads was the strongest and the most dominant old god on all of Azeroth, yet all the others managed to survive, and this one, the strongest one, was defeated. Now finally, after all this time, we have a bunch of hints directly from 10.1, and we might just see his direct involvement. The final boss fight with Sarkret literally has a void pool and a whole bunch of chains beneath the platform in the very heart of Neltharion's secret laboratory. Before we get into the hint itself, let's see why we can definitely connect this to Y'Shaarj, and why he is known as the Seven-Eyed Goat, and why a pool is a very strong sign of his return. So Cataclysm had an item known as the Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron that whispered to you, that gave you like these old god whispers. One of the whispers talked about an old god known as the Black Goat with 7 eyes, and the reason everyone connected that to Y'Shaarj is because Blizzard literally released official artwork of Y'Shaarj where he has 7 eyes and goat-like horns. Then in BF8 there was this item known as the Wriggling Mass that further confirmed this theory. We got a pulsating tendril and you get a vision from it, and it says literally this, and I quote, "In your mind's eye, you picture a many-eyed goat laying in a pool of black water. As you approach, its eyes burst open, and in an instant you find yourself looking upward at the goat from deep within the puddle. As you sink into the icy darkness, everything goes black." So you can definitely add 2 and 2 here yourself and see the connection of a many-eyed goat in a black pool of water and a black goat with 7 eyes from the previous puzzle. Now, how does all this relate to StarCraft at 10.1 and what is going on in Dragonflight? Well, first of all, the boss fight has multiple phases and there is very clear evidence of direct cosmic void involvement with a new Starry Sky void-like skybox, a ton of void elementals, but then we have this sort of mysterious stained glass with a really interesting illustration. While it definitely looks like Natarian and a void corrupted Deathwing, and most likely it is, I can't be the only one that can also see Y'Shaarj in this. I mean, literally, just compare this to the Hearthstone artwork. There seem to be horns, the eye in the center, the big one, and the claws. It's only the eyes that are not exactly over there in case of the number, because we have a bunch of circles that may just be random. However, this is, after all, only a lesser hint. We have the most important one. There is literally a shallow pool that appears in this boss fight, and remember the previous hint talked about a puddle, so a very shallow pool, and you can look down through it with a bunch of floating candles. The pool is very shallow and you can see a starry sky, and it's very much like some sort of an illusion, definitely described like the previous quote where one moment you're peering into it, the other you're looking from the other side. Now, don't quote me on this, I've only seen this through the Wowhead video, but there seem to be 7 candles within the pool, which I gotta say, I could have counted wrong, but if this is the case, this might just be the biggest hint so far. I mean, I don't think we really need further hints. Now, we also have the quote from Il'gynoth that may quite definitely be related to this. "To find him, drown yourself in the circle of stars." The pool is a circle, you can drown in a pool, and there are literally stars below the pool. So, I really don't think we need to go further into this. This might just be the biggest secret that is out there, and it might also go perfectly in line with the most recent Primal Incarnate cinematic. I don't know if you noticed, but the Incarnates seem to know what is hiding there. They know the Draktyr are following them and they want them to claim their legacy. They're sort of mocking them. They probably want them to release the secret that is inside, as it might weaken the Titan influence, and this could definitely go in their favor. If this secret is Y'Shaarj, we might be in for some really big trouble. Sure, we know Y'Shaarj was originally around the middle of the mega continent of Kalimdor where the Well of Eternity was. That is how the Well of Eternity was created when he was ripped away. My thoughts are that what remained of him had to be chained, and if they chained him on the Dragon Isles, we might just be discovering his prison. This especially makes sense as there's a bunch of chains around this place. If this even is the case, we might have been wrong on the new continent on the other side of Azeroth that all of us have been speculating about. This beyond the wave skin that the Titans sought to hide might have been the remains of Y'Shaarj this entire time. After all, it would make complete sense. The Dragon Isles were isles, they were beyond the waves, and they were kinda hidden from the original map. I mean, keep in mind, we learned this beyond the waves hint from Deathwing's library, so this foreshadowing might have been for his ultimate weapon and the ultimate source of power, and that is that Neltharion may have been siphoning the power directly from Y'Shaarj himself that all of us thought was defeated. This might even be what ultimately drove him mad, as keep in mind, this guy was the most powerful out of all the old gods on Azeroth. I gotta give it to Blizzard, they're definitely doing a good job of not making the story predictable. However, so far, we have really strong N'Zoth hints, we have very possible Y'Shaarj hints, and there's also very strong Cosmic Void hints as well, and all that combined with Primal Incarnates and their mysterious goals and the agenda of breaking Titan rule, so we might be in for potentially the biggest trouble to Azeroth in all of existence. I mean, imagine if we got combined mind of Y'Shaarj and N'Zoth and even the other old gods together with the Void Lords and just pure beings of the Cosmic Void. I mean, with this, a Legion invasion we got recently is going to be a walk in the park in comparison. Thank you for watching. Check out the very likely Pure Void invasion that we might be getting soon as well by clicking on the screen, and check out Nodes Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.